What's poppin', everyone? It's VenomousStare back with Game 3 of Flash vs. Life. If you missed Games 1 and 2, they were incredible, they were full of information, and they were full of great play. Mutiling Baneling versus BO7 between two god-tier players. If you're watching this, I guarantee that you would be interested in those first two games. So the series is currently tied 1-1. Flash is facing off against Life. Flash is widely considered to be the best Brood War player ever. Life is one of the best Zerg player ever, although his place in history is also often forgotten because of the Pro League scandal that he endured. We've already talked about that. I'm not going to talk about that every single game. I think it's kind of old. I think that the fact that no one really gives Life the credit he deserves anymore, and he's kind of forgotten about and people pretend he doesn't exist, is enough. I don't really need to talk about the fact that he threw a game versus Terminator, because even though that was bad, and obviously that's really shitty for a pro gamer to do, I don't think it defines his whole career. I think that Life was exceptional enough and exciting enough to have more of a name for himself than simply, oh yeah, that was that guy who threw those matches in Pro League. No. This guy won MLG Dallas twice. He did severe damage in GSL. In fact, he actually won a GSL. He was the kind of player that people of a certain race look towards, and I mean Zerg, not like white or Korean or Swedish or something. Zerg players looked up. I can't believe I just said white, by the way, instead of like another nationality. Regardless, Life was a paragon. He was incredible. He was the kind of player that played the race in such a way that you watched it and it just felt right. It felt different. It felt like Life truly mastered what Zerg was supposed to be about. He was always running in these locations with Lings. He was always counterattacking with Lings. He was always sandwiching his opponent's army with Lings. His macro was crisp. His creep spread was great. His defense was incredible. This was the guy that you wanted to learn from, but he was also so talented and unique that he was almost like hard to learn from, in the same way that Maru is hard to learn from, because the way that he plays is just so crisp and almost hard to replicate because of how well that he does it. You can almost get in trouble trying to copy his style because of how good he is. So notice that Life got Lings out on the map, encountered Hellions, and then managed to keep them out hidden in the map. This is something that you should watch for on the minimap all the time with Life's play. Whenever his opponent moves out, does he have Lings waiting to counterattack? This is something that I've often tried to emulate in my play, but becomes very hard, I've noticed. I feel like if I try to do this kind of thing, I either don't have enough units to defend, it cuts into my drone count, the Lings just get found out. It never really felt this way watching Life. He set up counterattacks all the time, it never really seemed to hurt him. And if he set up a counterattack and he needed the units to come back, he was always so good about getting those units back crisply and in an adequate timed way. Very frequently we see in StarCraft 2, somebody can try to do something cute, like a cute strategy or build or a tactic, but if they screw it up, they might as well have just been playing standard. And Life did unique things all the time, especially the way that he positioned his Lings, and it never really seemed to backfire. Whereas if we look at a player like Fruit Dealer, a guy going way back at the beginning of Wings of Liberty, where Life, I would say, was best at the beginning of HOTS. He was good at the end of Wings of Liberty as well, but we're talking true peak here, I would say, beginning of HOTS, because this is when he was really showing off his best stuff against Terran, when Terran was very strong. And of course he was great at the end of Wings of Liberty, but that's when Zerg was at its peak. And that's one thing that I think is worth noting about Life's career. Yes, Life was incredibly strong at the end of Wings of Liberty when Zerg was generally considered to be the best race, but he maintained this incredible form afterwards and into a time period where a lot of Zerg players were really struggling to play against BO7. It looked like Terran could push against Zerg, and even the very best Zergs could hold BO7 for several straight minutes, but the sort of never-ending cavalcade push from Terran eventually broke them, and it was usually off the back of one or two big mine shots. A lot of Zergs at this time really felt like that was unfair and had a lot of trouble against the style. Life, as he did before, showed that no, look, you can use links in such a way that really prevents Terran from acting the way that they want to act. In the previous 2 games, Life has played a very strong Ling opener style and gone into macro muta. In this game, it looks as though he's foregoing his mutas and going for a massive mid-game attack. You see 22 speed bands are being morphed, and a ton of speedlings are out here as well. Both players have 1-1, and oh no! Flash has his door down as though it would have mattered. Tons of bands coming forward, but Flash's army was out in the middle of the map, and oh my god, it just gets butchered by Life. And again, Life showing by taking that northern 2 towers and swinging around his army that he is so good at positioning. And Life is forced to type out, or excuse me, Flash is forced to type out as Life takes a crushing advantage here with this big attack and just wins the game in one foul swoop. Now, it might look as though, oh, Flash was just kind of out on the map and died. No. Again, Life did things that if you're not watching closely, it just looks like the other player made a mistake. Because Life is constantly counterattacking and being annoying and threatening counterattacks, not just counterattacking, because that's good. Playing against a person who does counterattacks is hard to deal with. Playing against someone who does them so frequently and effective, where you always have to be scared, much less actually put stuff there, is almost worse. So Flash has kind of had to play in a defensive way because of all the counterattacks. Okay, yeah, Flash was like, oh, I'm going to finally do my move out. And Life has masterfully taken these 2 towers, and because of all this creep spread, he has absolutely guaranteed that there is going to be no vision out on that part of the map for Flash. And notice, Flash moves only halfway across the map to try to take the southern tower, and it doesn't even matter. Life is at his front door. And at this point, you're in this weird position where you're being ravaged so badly in your main and natural where you have to run in at max speed. Because the Banes are in a position, since you have to move in to defend your base as Terran, the Banes don't have to engage. You have to walk into the Banes. So Flash can't do anything here. What is he going to load everything into medevacs and drop on top of the army that's already in his main? No. Life, between his beautiful counterattacks in the early game and his nice positioning in macro, has won this game in one foul swoop. And this is one of these moves that it might look to the untrained eye like, oh, like he just won with one big attack because his opponent was out of position. No, this actually had more to do with his creep spread, his map control, his tower control, how good he was with mutas in the previous game, and how that would make Flash feel. Subsequently, how that would make Flash sort of play. So yeah, Life did a lot of things in this game to sort of set up this Ling attack, and it was beautiful. Subscribe for more.